Season long. It's Brewers Extra Innings. Now live from the Annex Wealth Management Studio in downtown Milwaukee at the Avenue. Here is your host, Bob Brainerd.
Oh, it's good to be the fill-in guy. It's good to be the host on a Tuesday night with Dom out of town. Bob Brainerd sitting in the big chair and loving everything about what happened at American Family Field tonight. Brewers beat the Texas Rangers, the defending world champions, by the way, by the count of 3-1. They do it in 2:15. The game took 2 hours and 15 minutes. I was in attendance last night, and I left while the ninth inning was going on because it was over 3 hours long. And if you were listening or if you were watching the broadcast this evening, they were talking about all the full counts they had in the game. There were 26 total full count against the hitters last night. So 2:15. Efficient. That was the theme in this one, with Hobie Milner getting the start and Bryce Wilson, the hero in this one. We're going to talk about those two guys as well as the hitting stars in this one, and also break down the Brewer pitching, because I want to talk a little bit about Freddie Peralta last night and his outing. Milwaukee won, but Peralta still scuffling a little bit. And the newest Milwaukee Brewer that's going to join the team in a trade, Dallas Keuchel, on his way in a trade for cash with the Mariners to get Dallas Keuchel. And who better to talk pitching than the former Milwaukee lefty himself, Jerry Augustine, joining us here on Brewers Extra Innings. Augie, how are you on this Tuesday night? You probably, like me, you had to rush to get here because everyone was taking care of business tonight at the ballpark.
It is. Isn't it nice when you go to a ballpark and 2 hours and 15 minutes later you're walking out of it and you see a whale of a ball game? I tell you what, though, tonight you look at it. Hobie Milner got his first start of his professional career on a major league level. That was pretty special. And, the one thing I really liked about it, Bobby, the first inning he scuffled a little bit. He gave up some hits to left-handers, and they were able to score a run off of him. I like what Murph did there. He had about 16 or 18 pitches that first inning. He allowed Hobie to go back out and get a good, clean inning. And I think that's one thing you always do with your pitchers. You want to finish out with something positive. He did that with Hobie Milner, but I'll tell you what, when Bryce Wilson came in the game, it was over. This is as good as I've seen him pitch in a Milwaukee Brewer uniform. Really threw the ball well, commanded the strike zone, used his sinking fastball well, pitched ahead in the count through 74 pitches, 50 of them strikes, pretty efficient.
Yeah, Augie, and because Hobie Milner was able to get them those 2 innings in front, you saw what Bryce was able to do. He was able to pitch. They gave him the ball in the 8th inning. He was able to finish. I think there was even a conversation to maybe having him go out there for the 9th inning, but Elvis Peguero, the arms have been used a lot lately. They were able to go to him to get those final 3 outs and give Bryce Wilson the win. Let me just backtrack a second here, Augie, because even before the results of tonight, when this is, the Brewers aren't the only team that has done this with this opener thing, whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to label it. But are you a fan of it? When you've seen teams do this, do you cringe a little bit being a former pitcher? Or are you starting to settle in and see the advantages here and see that this is okay from time to time?
I think it's okay time to time. I think it gives you an opportunity. I think the one thing you always try to do is try to keep everybody in a positive note, keep everybody looking forward to saying, hey, you know what, I'm throwing the ball well. And the one thing this has done is really with Hobie Milner tonight. Hobie Miller's been struggling a little bit of late, had some problems in some of the last few outings. Give him a time to get out there and relax, to start a ball game and say, hey, I'm going to be able to dictate what happens in this game. And that's why I said, Bobby, I said early in the game that he gave up that run in the first inning. He gave up a hit to a couple left-hand hitters, and they were able to score a run. He let him come back out and finish that second inning. That second inning, Hobie was back to Hobie Milner like he usually is. I thought that play was huge, and that's smart. That's smart coaching as far as Murph goes. You want to finish positive. And then go to your relievers. It's not about being a fan. I think it's an opportunity of getting guys in the game, giving them an opportunity to start a game, and just making them be positive. I think it's done a lot with this pitching staff and how they've used it.
Yeah, I think you make a valid point there, Augie, because it would have been easy for Pat Murphy, easy for anybody to second-guess this and say, well, this isn't working. We gave up a run in the first inning. Now we're up against it. Now Bryce Wilson's going to have to come in, and he's going to have to try to be too sharp. But you're right. giving him the ball in the second inning, gave him a chance for redemption, gave him a chance to settle down, and then I think that also spilled over to Bryce Wilson a little bit. I think that gave him the opportunity, Augie, to say, I don't have to come in. It's only 1-0. I don't have to be super sharp. It's not damage control time because the guy in front of me didn't get the job done.
Well, you look at his last time out, he struggled a little bit. Bryce Wilson actually started the game, and he had a struggle. I think he had 4 or 5 runs in his last outing, and he was really struggling with locating his fastball. He's having a little bit of problem. He has that good heavy sinker he's starting to throw. His slider has been a pitch that he got this year that he really likes. Wasn't able to locate it last time out. Really walked a few guys. Tonight he didn't do that. He came in the game. He went aggressively in the strike zone, and I like that first inning that he was in the game. If you look at the pitches that he threw, it was that hard sinker. What was he doing? He was pitching to contact, trying to keep the ball down his zone, trying to stay ahead, and he did get that. And I think that was the start of him tonight, just getting in that little groove. And I thought Contreras called a really good ball game for him after that by using a slider efficiently. But when he gets in the game, when Bryce Wilson gets in the game, pitches ahead, and is able to use that two-seam sinker and then elevate that four-seam, he's very effective, and he did that tonight.
He's Jerry Augustine, former Milwaukee Brewer pitcher. He's joining me, Bob Brainerd, and Max pressing all the buttons here on Brewers Extra Innings tonight. Augie, think about back in your day. You know who would have made a good, whatever you want to call it, opener, whatever, on your team? You, right?
Well, I did open several games, but I had a couple of starts.
No, but I mean, on purpose. Like Augie, one of your skippers says, Augie, you're getting the ball for an inning or two, and then Jim Slayton's coming in. How would that have gone over back in the day?
Oh man, it would have been fun to do it. I'll tell you that. It would have been that's nice of you to say that, but it really does help. I'm telling you what it does for a guy who's starting. You get to say, hey, you know what? Colby, you're starting tomorrow. You get that. You get to be able to go through your mind. How do you want to pitch? What do you want to do? I only have to be out there for a short period of time. I'm able to go out there and just let it and wheel it for one inning. I'm going to go out there and try to dominate with the pitches that I know best. And I think that's what Hobie Milner did. I think the first inning, he got a couple balls over the plate, and they were able to hit him. Second inning, he made that adjustment. I think any pitcher that has that opportunity, like you were just talking about, Bob, is to go out and be able to pitch and relax and try to find yourself in a different style of situation always makes you better. And I think this is kind of a unique way. I don't think back when I played they ever thought of that, but it is a really unique way when you have a guy in the bullpen that you want to get in there, you want to get him sharp, you want him to be able to go in there and have success. That's a great way to do it.
I don't know if you heard the post game with Murph, but he was talking about, they were asking him, did you have any plans for Bryce in spring training? Did you know? I mean, no, he didn't have any plans. He didn't know who he was. He didn't know what he was able to bring to the table. I mean, this is the skipper of the Milwaukee Brewers, and he has no idea who this guy is. He can read things. That there's scouting reports on him, but he had no plans for him to be in the starting rotation, much less be a factor for Milwaukee. And Bryce, Augie, is sort of the story of a lot of these pitchers. They bring these guys up, they plug them into situations this year, and some of the most deep, devoted Brewer fans are saying, who is this guy? Now who's pitching? Now who's starting? Now who's coming out of the bullpen? But we've seen all these guys kind of come into their own, and we've seen these guys have really good moments. They've struggled at times, but they've also had really good moments, and they're maturing before our eyes. How does that happen? Is that confidence in the staff just going out there and just giving them all these opportunities and not putting them under the microscope? How does the confidence build in all these guys that we're seeing on this Brewers staff?
By being positive in each and every time out. I think when you handle a pitching staff, and that's one thing I really like about the way Chris Hook has approached the Brewers pitching staff and the organization, how he wants to use it. He tries to take things. A lot of pitching coaches will go out and say, I'm going to take what you do and I'm going to make it better. I'm going to make it better, and then I'm going to take your secondary pitches and help them make you better. I think what Chris Hook says, yes, it's good that you have those great pitches, and it's great that you can get those over the plate. The whole thing is throwing strikes, but the confidence thing is being able to go out there with confidence and pitch well. And when you go out there and you pitch well and you add on a positive note, each and every time you go out there and it's positive, it grows. It grows in confidence. It grows in what you're trying to accomplish. And then when you go out there, becomes automatic. You don't have to go out there and think about, oh, if I throw this pitch, they're going to hit it, or if I throw this pitch there, I'm behind in the count. Oh boy, it's going to be trouble. You go out there with the confidence saying, you know what? I know what I need to do in order to be successful because I've been out there several times and I've been successful. I think that makes a big difference. There's one way of going about saying, I'm taking every pitch and I'm going to make it better, or I'm going to take every outing and I'm going to be positive. When you combine those, like Chris Hook has done with this pitching staff, it leads to success. And I think that's what you're seeing with this Brewer organization.
Yeah, can't argue with the record, can't argue with the success of these Brewers starters and the bullpen as well. More with Augie when we come back in Brewers Extra Innings with a local Milwaukee team, Fifth Third Bank. Also knows how to hit it out of the park. They've been serving businesses in the area for nearly 15 years, offering industry-specific expertise and local decision-making capabilities to help your business succeed. This is commercial banking value only Fifth Third can deliver. Fifth Third Bank, National Association member FDIC. More BEI when we return.
Coming up, more Brewers Extra Innings on WTMJ.
Tired of power outages disrupting your life? Make them a thing of the past by getting a Generac home standby generator from Adams Generators. Adams Generators is the largest and #1 rated Generac dealer in Wisconsin. With 24/7 emergency support, our factory-trained technicians are standing by to assist you. Visit adamspower.com/generators to make sure your power always stays on. That's adamspower.com/generators.
WTMJ's John Mercure here. The Mine Shaft in Hartford is hiring servers, bartenders, and pizza cooks. A great summer job for high school and college students. You'll make great cash. Parents and grandparents, tell your kids. Inquire today, start next week. MineShaftRestaurant.com.
There's no doubt that a better night's sleep makes for better days, and a good quality mattress helps make it happen. When you buy your new Milwaukee mattress from Ken Michaels Furniture, you are assured of a mattress made individually for you out of the finest natural materials direct from our Milwaukee factory. We make every style, size, and firmness of mattress, and with our factory direct prices, you will save hundreds of dollars. Milwaukee mattresses from Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield, Greenfield, or downtown Milwaukee. Stop in today. Stop into Ken Michaels Furniture for our sale on Braddington Young. Made in the foothills of the Great Smoky Mountains, Braddington Young is an American icon in quality leather upholstery. Whether you are looking for power recliners or stationary seating, Braddington Young's furniture is made with enduring quality, outstanding comfort, and timeless styling. Save up to 40% now on Braddington Young upholstery at Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield and Greenfield. Visit us today.
This is Brewers Extra Innings on WTMJ.
Milwaukee a winner over the Texas Rangers, the defending world champions. 3-1 at American Family Field tonight. That means they take the series. They'll finish the series tomorrow afternoon under the sunshine with the roof open, we hope. Jerry Augustine, former Milwaukee Brewer pitcher, joining us here on Brewers Extra Innings, along with me, Bob Brainerd. And Augie, the news before the game even started tonight was that they've gone out and gotten some help for the starting core, picking up veteran, former Cy Young Award winner himself, Dallas Keuchel. Now, Keuchel was in the Seattle Mariners organization. He was pitching in the minor leagues for them. And this is a good deal, Augie, because it's a deal that doesn't cost you any talent. They only paid cash to get Dallas Keuchel. And it's also a thing where you got a veteran coming in, so why not? Why not bring in a guy that knows his way around the block and can help? You've seen Dallas Keuchel pitch for several teams. What have you seen in the past? What can he bring to Milwaukee, perhaps?
Well, I like the veteran. I like the veteran guys that you bring in when you got a lot of good young talent on your staff. And you look at the Brewers, what they're bringing in, a lot of good young pitchers and trying to see what they can do. But when you get down to a full season, there's a lot of things that happen in 162 games where a veteran can come in and really settle things down. And I really like the pickup of a Dennis Keuchel because, number one, he's not the traditional, he's not the new style, I call it, pitcher that you usually see on the mound. He's the old style guy. He's that guy that comes in, he sinks the ball away. He's not a big power guy, doesn't strike out a ton of people, but he sinks the ball away and gets hit it on the ground. Doesn't walk out a guy, pitches ahead in the count. He's a veteran guy that knows how to pitch. He won 20 games in 2015, was an All-Star in 15 and 17. So he knows what he's doing. And I think when you bring in a veteran like that and you have young pitchers around him, they can only add to what you have on the staff. And it's not only by what they do on the mound and the way you see them pitch, but in that clubhouse and on the sidelines or in the games when they're not pitching. You can ask these guys questions. They've been there. They've done that. They know what it takes to be successful. I think a guy like Dennis Keuchel, you can't add a better guy than that. He's been super successful. And to get him into the staff that you have right now that's throwing in a lot of young guys could really help it.
Yeah, doesn't this take some of the pressure off, Augie, of some of these younger guys? I mean, they've plugged guys in to give them a taste, and sometimes they come out like gangbusters, and then other times they kind of hit that wall. So I'm thinking if you can plug in a Dallas Keuchel and he gets his legs underneath him and he gets a feel and he retains the spot in the rotation, doesn't that kind of take the pressure off those young guys that you can now just say, okay, we're going to mix and match with you instead of leaning so heavily on this one start?
Oh, I agree. I totally agree. I think when you got a guy like Dennis Keuchel that come in and you give him a couple starts and let him get in his routine. I think the big thing, we can't come in and start him one game, he doesn't have success and say, oh, that's not good. But you got to let a veteran like that get in his routine because he could take the pressure, like you just said, off these young pitchers. And you get a guy that goes out there day in and day out, knows his routine, goes out there and pitches the way he does. You know, here's a guy who tries to go and say, I'm going to face you. I'm going to face a hitter. I want him to get him to put it in play in 4 pitches. I'm going to try to stick as much as I can. I'm going to sink the ball away. I'm going to throw a little fastball in, a little cutter and a little sinker on the outside part of the plate, and I'm going to try to get you to hit the ball on the ground. Every once in a while, I'm going to get the ball by you, and I'm going to strike you out because I got a location pitch. But he's a guy that pitches the contact, and he keeps you in the game because why? He keeps the ball on the ground. He keeps the game going. He works fast, and he can really be an advocate for these young pitchers to say, you know what? Here's a veteran guy that goes out there, and he just goes about his job, nice and easy, tries to make them hit. This is things that we want to learn. And I'll tell you what, he can be a good teacher to some of these young pitchers.
Augie, I know we got a ways a little bit until we get to the trade deadline, but I don't think the Brewers are done. I think this is just scratching the surface, especially when it comes to pitching, because if this team is going to go on and win the division and get to the postseason, and they put themselves in a great position so far, but we still got a lot of baseball to go, and you're going to use a lot of arms to try to get to the postseason, and then turn around and you're going to need arms in the postseason. So I think the Dallas Keuchel move, perhaps, I want to get what your thoughts are, but I think this is just scratching the surface.
I agree. I think they're going to go out and try to get some pitch. You never can have enough pitching in game of baseball, and I think you'll agree with me. The way you win divisions is you got to have good starting pitching. You have to have guys who go out and keep you in ball games, and that's what the Brewers have done. They've had these young kids come in and like Meyer and throwing the ball, Tobias Meyer, and throwing the ball really well and keeping the ball game, pitching the ball very well. But it's a long season, and you know you're going to have your ups and downs. You get some of these young veteran pitchers that have been around. They can come in and give you a start here or a start there and get into your rotation, help you out. It pays a big difference. You starters have to go deep in the ball games as much as you can. The Brewers haven't had that yet this year, but they got to keep you in the ball game. And then you got to have a bullpen. You can't win a pennant without a bullpen. And I always tell the people now that the Brewers bullpen isn't 7 or 8 deep. It's like 15 deep with all the players that they've had up and down in the minor league organization. So I think I agree with you, Bob. I think they're out there. They're going to get some more pitching. I think not only as a starters, but I think in the bullpen also that can come and help and maintain the staff for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think this is just the beginning, getting Dallas Keuchel for cash from the Seattle Mariners. So Augie, and we can talk about this when we do get closer to the trade deadline, but as we all know, pitching is expensive because everybody, as you said, everybody needs it, everybody wants it. So if the Brewers go out and there are some good veteran arms available, but it's going to cost you some talent, maybe it's somebody in your major league roster. Maybe it's some of your young talent. You've got a lot of outfielders. If it costs you some good talent, but you get some good return, some good veteran savvy return, do you still pull the trigger, or you know, how do you feel in your gut if a trade like that has to go down?
I think you have to wait and see how they are as they get closer to to the All-Star break. I think when you get to the All-Star break, you kind of have a good idea what's happening, what you need, and you can kind of make some decisions. You know, Matt Arnold has done since he's been here, since he's taken over David Stearns. He has done the same thing. He doesn't miss anything. They go out and they check on everybody. If there's a diamond in the rough in some organization, I'm sure that this organization has looked at them to see what they could do to help this organization. And I think that's what you do. If you just said that, number one, you may have to give up somebody on the major league level to get something you may need. If it's going to make this team better, if it's going to make them more competitive as they go through the season and stay in the position that they are now, I think they'll make the move. But I think you really sit back and got to say, where are we now? What can that person do for us? And where will he be 2 months from now? How can he help us when we get into the tough days of August 15th on up to the rest of the season? Where is he going to be with us? How can he help us? And I think that's where you decide if you make the move or not.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff from Augie. We've got more coming up on Brewers Extra Innings. But thunderstorms can happen anytime in Wisconsin. Don't we know that? As an authorized Generac dealer, Cider Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical can save you up to $1,500 off a whole home generator. Visit cider.com today. More of BEI when we return.
On deck, more Brewers Extra Innings.
Drive into summer with a beautiful new car from the International Autos Group. Get spectacular savings of up to $20,000, and 0.9% financing is available for 60 months. Every model in our 2,000 car inventory is priced to sell. The International Autos Group, Milwaukee, Waukesha, Sheboygan, and Brown Deer. Or at IAAutogroup.com, where our ordinary needs to be extraordinary. Financing with approved credit, $1,709 per month per $1,000 financed on select models.
Well, if you need flagstone for your new natural patio, Erickson's is the place to find it. We have the largest selection and 15 styles to choose from. And for decorative stone, Erickson's is your best choice. Our decorative stone is trucked in from all over the country. We buy straight from the quarry and cut out the middleman to keep your prices nice and low. Erickson's Landscape Supply. High-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection. So he said to me, boy, oh boy, do you got the boulders. And I said, you betcha. And he said, do you mind if I cherry pick? And I said, feel free. They're all beautiful and they're all granite. Sparkling pinks, blues, and grays from 4 to 36 inches. And they're all priced right. Because we buy direct from the source nationwide to give you the look you want. Erickson's Landscape Supply. High-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection.
This is Brewers Extra Innings on WTMJ.
We're back on Brewers Extra Innings. Max is pressing the buttons. I'm Bob Brainerd in for Dom because it's Tuesday. He's traveling throughout the country doing Major League Baseball with BA. Jerry Augustine, former Brewer pitcher, joining us on this Tuesday night as the Brewers win on an efficient Tuesday night at the ballpark. Did it in 2:15, beat the Texas Rangers 3-1. Okay, Augie, I mentioned I was at the ball game last night. Brewers won the game, but Freddie Peralta got the start, and man, pushing 100 pitches into the fifth inning only. We have seen this from Freddie of late. He's doing a lot of nibbling. He's throwing way too many pitches, and he's not stretching out his starts, Augie. What have you seen not only last night from Freddie, but maybe in the last month or so, the last 4 or 5 starts, it just seems like he's laboring a bit.
Well, I think we make such a big deal about we keep calling him Fastball Freddie. And he is Fastball Freddie. And he's always going to be Fastball Freddie. He's got an electric fastball. He can sink it. He can make it run. He can do all these things. I thought last night he didn't have command of almost all his pitches. I didn't think he had the good command of his breaking stuff, his off-speed stuff, and really was going deep in the counts. Anytime you average 21 pitches or thereabouts in a game, you're not going to be in a game that long. And it looked like he was going deep in the counts. And I think what Freddie's got to do, he's been listed as that number one guy. And I think when you're listed as that number one guy on a pitching staff, you put a little bit of pressure on yourself. I have to go out there. I want to compete. I want to be that number one guy. I have to go out there and do my job. And I think Freddie's learning that. I think he's learning where he went from a a starter early without a fastball, without a breaking ball, developing a breaking ball, then developed it and got very good. Now he's your number one guy. And I just think sometimes he goes out there and tries to be too fine. I thought last night was one of those situations when you look at the high pitch count and the number of 3-ball counts he had. He had a lot last night, more than he usually does. I think Freddie's got to get back to say, what can I do to get somebody out in the least amount of pitches? How do I do that? Do I do it by a breaking ball? Do I do it by fastball? I need to learn how to command those pitches to get people out early in counts. And I think that's where he struggled last night, and I think that's where he has to get back to.
Yeah, the fastball Freddie moniker, I mean, there's something to it because he does have electric stuff. But as you evolve as a starting pitcher, being Freddie Peralta, you don't want to just be fastball Freddie. You can't just do that because guys will figure that out in the major leagues, and they will tee off. So now you go to the other side of the argument here, Augie, and you're saying, okay, so he's working on the rest of his arsenal. He's working on the rest of his repertoire to, like I said, to nibble at times and to not just be known as a fastball guy. But at what point do you go back and trust yourself to throw more fastballs and nibble less? I mean, is that a gray area? Is it a fine line? How does a pitcher figure that out like Freddie is?
I think it's a confidence level. I think when you go back and you look at Freddie early in the season, and he was pitching 5 and 6 innings, and he was at that 85 to 87 pitches per game. Well, you take that pitch count compared to 5 innings and on 5. That's a huge difference. That's a lot of different pitches. I think earlier in the season, he was aggressive in the strike zone. When he got ahead in the strike zone, when he got the 2 strikes, he said, you know what, I can put you away because you know why? My fastball explodes. I got this good breaking ball. I can even throw my changeup for a strike. I think what's happened now is he's got to the position where every pitch, right from the beginning, he says, I am going to pitch the ball to the zones. I'm going to try to stay on the outside corner, inside corner, rather than throwing his good fastball down and let him hit a ball on the ground. Get those early outs. Early outs, one an inning, will change the whole complexion of how many pitches you throw. And I think Freddie's gotten away from that a little bit. So, Bobby, I really believe that he just has to get back to saying, I'm going to dominate with my fastball. That's my dominant pitch, and I'm going to use my breaking ball to guys where I need to do it in good situations. And I think when he does that, he gets back in that groove, that groove on the mental situation where I'm going to pitch ahead and I'm going to stay ahead. I think the pitch count comes down. He goes deeper into ball games.
I agree. And I also agree, Augie, in what you said at the beginning of their discussion of Freddie Peralta is that he's the number one guy on this staff now. He's the ace. You think about just a year ago, he was number 3, right? I mean, you had 2 guys in front of you that were clearly the 1-2. And Freddie could kind of settle in, and he didn't have to be that alpha male. He didn't have to be that ace. He didn't have to be the number 1. So to make that leap, you're not even going up just 1 slot in the rotation. You're going up 2. And I think that's a heavy burden on some guys. Now, it doesn't mean he can't evolve into it. But, Augie, when you say that about guys have to learn how to be a number 1, there's something to that, isn't there?
Oh, no, definitely. I think the mental part of the ball game is so huge in how you approach the game. And I think that sometimes we make the mental part of the game too big, and we say, hey, you know what? Boy, I'm the number 1 guy. I have to do this. I have to do that. And it's not that. You still have to be yourself, and you have to go back to say, what do I do that I could be successful at? And I think I remember back when George Bamber took over, and he said, you know, you're my number 1 guy coming in. You're going to open up first day. Well, right away, my mind started thinking about all these different things I had to do for opening day, rather than saying, hey, you know what? You've got to get ready to pitch. Go back and pitch the way you're capable of. Well, through spring training, I was able to mentally get there and had a good outing my first start against the Orioles. But it was that mental portion of the game that can really have a cause and effect. And I think sometimes Freddie puts a little pressure that he wants to be so good. He is good. He is very good. He's got a lot of talent. He still has a lot of upside. But it's being able to get that under control to say, what do I do good? How do I approach hitters? Where am I successful? How can I stay in that each and every time I go out? And hopefully things will turn around and I'll go real well in each game. And I think he's going to get there. I just think he's struggling right now.
Okay, I remember a situation when Ben Sheets first came to the Brewers, and he was not anointed the number one because they had other guys in front of him. So they let him just be a rookie. They let him kind of mature on his own. And then as guys moved on, right, and then you saw Ben Sheets just kind of slowly get into his groove, and it wasn't such a sudden rush as we're seeing with Freddie Peralta, where he's leapfrogging 2 spots from 3 to 1. But I remember Ben Sheets just growing into that role, and by the time he got comfortable, he looked and acted and pitched like a number one, didn't he?
Yeah, he sure did. When he came to the big leagues, it's so fun. He was such a fun guy to talk to because, this guy, he just liked to pitch. Just give me the ball. I want to pitch. But he'd go out there and he'd say, you know what? I go out there some days I don't have my curveball. What was his signature pitch? He had that good overhand breaking ball. When he threw it for strikes, he was dynamite. But you know what? He says, in everything I do, I have that good curveball. I can throw a little bit of a changeup, but my fastball is my pitch. I have to dominate. I have to pitch with my fastball. And when I can do that, everything else will fall into place. And I think that when we talk about pitching today, you still have to do number one. You have to throw strikes. And what's the best pitch to throw strikes with? Your fastball. You have to locate. You have to locate in and out, up and down, more in the quadrants now than you did in years past. But when you can do that, you're going to be successful. And I think with Freddie, and you talk back with Benny Sheets was excellent at throwing the ball up in the zone. When he could throw the fastball up in the zone, come back with that curveball, he was unhittable. And that's why you had a guy who had 18 strikeouts. That day, he had an awesome breaking ball. But where was he pitching? Fastball up, breaking ball down. And I think that's what Freddie, too, has to get into that groove that says, I can throw my fastball to good locations, but I'm going to tell you what, when I need my off-speed stuff, I know it's going to be there.
He is Jerry Augustine, former Milwaukee Brewer, the lefty. I thought of you the other day, Augie, because the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers, the high Class A affiliate of the Brewers, they clinched the first half of the Midwest League season, so they know they will have a postseason no matter what happens in the second half of their Midwest League campaign. So congrats to the T-Rats up there. And, of course, when you and I were doing Timber Rattlers games, we'd always talk about Sundays in Kewanee, where you hail from, and the 3 Ps. So tell everybody about the 3 Ps on Sundays. It was tradition in the Augustine household.
Well, in the Augustine household, especially in the fall of the year, when you get into fall year and Packers were on, I used to go to church every morning with my dad on Sundays at 10 o'clock. So there we got the prayer out of it. We did prayers. We'd go home, and, of course, in Green Bay, and at that time at noon, it was Dick Rogers polkas. And then after that was 1 o'clock, it was Packers. So every Sunday was the 3 Ps. It was prayers, polkas, and Packers. And we did that. And I'll tell you and I got had a lot of fun with that. And it's so nice that we had that opportunity to go up and see young pitchers come through that organization. I remember Willie Peralta coming up, and in some of the games we did, we had so much fun up there. But when you see these young guys pitch and do the games like we did, and then see them on the major league level, you sit back and say, I saw this guy. Boy, has he developed well. We've had that opportunity, and we've built that relationship, and it's always been fun. And believe it or not, who was one of the guys that we got to know up in with the Timber Rattlers?
Chris Hook. Chris Hook,
was the pitching coach.
He was the pitching coach there, and now, of course, he's doing a great job with the big ball club, the Milwaukee Brewers. Matt Erickson, who's in the dugout with Pat Murphy.
That's right.
And the squad, was the longtime manager of the T-Rats. So if you're a baseball fan, if you're a Brewer fan, and the team's not in town, go up to Appleton. Rob Zurjev and company, the general manager. Beautiful ballpark, and you get to see these young guys. And like Augie said, we saw them when they were younger, and then a couple years later be like, oh, now he's at Miller Park at the time. Now he's playing at Miller Park, and we saw them when they were in Class A. So head on up to Appleton if you want to see some good baseball and some future Milwaukee Brewers. Augie, always a pleasure having you on Brewers Extra Innings. We'll talk to you again soon, my friend.
Awesome. Great being with you, Bob. I'll tell you, it's always fun to be with you. We have had such a great relationship over here doing the Brewer baseball games and going up and doing Timber Rattler games. There was so much fun. I learned so much from you. It's just great to be on with you. And the Brewers got a big win tonight. Hopefully they can come back and get the sweep tomorrow.
That's right. He's Jerry Augustine, and we've got more on Brewers Extra Innings when we return.
Coming up, more Brewers Extra Innings on WTMJ.
Dr. Ken's mind is fine as aged wine, let me tell you.
This is The Truth on WTMJ.
So why is it that when you don't give people what they want, you're the problem, when in fact they're so self-serving that they'll get it? And then
with Dr. Ken Harris and Denise Thomas.
I'm saying that I'm telling you that for me, if I respect you, it has way more weight than me liking you.
Absolutely.
Sunday night starting at 7.
Intelligent, intellectual.
That sounds like I'm
good
in trouble
looking,
today.
handsome.
Right here on WTMJ.
It's Brewers Cubs. It's the I-94 rivalry. It's your chance to defend American Family Field. Be here June 28th through the 30th for 3 huge Brewers games. Find your spot for the action at brewers.com/tickets.
This is Brad Youngbooth with Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company. We have 2 big humps in this business, right before summer and right after fall. And for us, that's when the lines are the longest. Folks usually choose to do their exterior work during those times, and what I'm trying to do here with this message is level out the flow of business so that we don't have to disappoint anyone come November and December because they were hoping to get their work done before the snow flies. I understand where the focus is during summer, but you know what? It really is a great time to get signed up for your exterior work, like siding and windows, because that's when the lines are the shortest, and it's the one time that we're pretty sure we're not going to get any snow. So if you're looking to get your work done, why put it off? The lines are shorter and we'll be ready. For your new roof, siding, window and door installation, or masonry work, call Semper Fi, because you can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry, Semper Fi.
With an ever-changing inventory, you never know what great bargains you're going to be able to find at St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores. It makes shopping fun because the best finds are the ones you had no idea you'd even come across. And when they're at thrift store prices, it feels good. And it feels even better to know you're helping us help others. Shop St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, 23rd in Lincoln, and 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
He has more energy and sleeps better, and his wife told him he no longer snores. John's decision to come to Advent changed his life. We can help change your life, too.
AdventNows.com.
This is Brewers Extra Innings on WTMJ.
So the Brewers pick up a half game in their first place standing in the NL Central because St. Louis and Atlanta got rained out. They're going to do a double dip tomorrow afternoon, while the Brewers will close out their series with the Texas Rangers tomorrow afternoon, 1:10. You can hear it right here on 620 WTMJ and along the Brewer Network. They win tonight over Texas, take 2 from the Rangers, and take the series, winning tonight 3-1. So the big story after the game was, of course, Bryce Wilson, because he doesn't get the start. Hobie Milner gets the start, gives up a run in the first, settles down, gets the ball in the second, and then gives the ball to Bryce Wilson in the third. Well, all Wilson does is go from innings 3 through inning 8. He pitches 6 innings, gives up just 3 hits, no runs, strikes out 4, doesn't walk anybody. He was sensational in that role, coming in, getting the ball in the third inning. So afterwards, he's all the talk in Pat Murphy's presser, right? Well, it's interesting when they asked Murph about what he thought about Bryce Wilson back in spring training. Listen in.
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know much about the player. You know, when a guy's in the American League, and I've been in the National League for 9 years, like, I didn't know much about him. And he hadn't been in the big leagues but a few at-bats. So when he got over here, immediately you could see his hands worked, but you didn't know about the bat, and he had never really hit in the big leagues. But he's been, I mean, it hasn't been a total surprise because he had great reports that he could hit and understood the offensive game. But he's been above and beyond. He's been great.
Murph, can you remind us, going into spring training, did you have him kind of penciled in on your own?
No. No. You remember my third base list in spring training? Oh, you weren't there. You were nursing. Yeah. You're kind of like Mike. You just come whenever you feel like it. Do you remember the list in spring training?
Where was he?
He was not at the top.
Yeah.
We felt like we were asking about Joey Ortiz too much because he wasn't.
Oh, so you're going to take credit for it now, Chris?
No, we were.
You kind of are now. Just be honest. You're taking credit for it.
Ortiz on your list, Murph.
I don't. You think I remember back that far? I don't remember 2 days ago.
Is that because you just weren't thinking of him in the third base picture at that time?
Didn't know who he was as a player, like so many other guys. Just you don't know who they're playing. These guys are brand new. We'd never seen him before, so we had to feel it out and see how he did it. And he's emerged. Even starting the season, it was like, who's going to play there?
How would you define who he is as a player now that you know him?
He's a solid baseball player, and he understands the game. He loves the game. Sneaky good base runner, and we have so many fast guys that he doesn't stand out as much as a base runner, but a sneaky developing base runner, and great defender, and he's going to be a force offensively too at some point. Yeah, I love the kid.
Murph, what made Bryce so effective for those 6 innings tonight?
I think you got to give William a ton of credit again. William knows him well, and he did his X thing where he, sinker cutter, but he went below the zone much more, change up, high heater. He did some things tonight, breaking ball in the zone or get ahead, get me over breaking ball. He did some things a little bit differently, slowed him down more. I thought it's the best performance I've seen on Bryce Wilson. I think he pitched like this against us when he was with the Pirates, 1 outing, 5 innings. But how many did he go today? 6. He went 6, 75 pitches, 74 pitches.
Yeah.
I think you missed a pitch, Adam. You got the one bad. You got the one bad. You got the one bad looker. So you
74.
They missed it too.
Oh,
So
okay.
I counted in my head 75.
I assume McGill wasn't available after pitching the last couple of days. Was there any thought about bringing Bryce back out there for the 9th?
Yes, absolutely. Big discussion. Peguero's like, how many different guys have gotten a save now this year? Do we have that information? You guys are behind. You are. You're
7.
That was his second.
6.
Which one is it? Okay. 6 different guys have had saves? You're wrong. You're wrong. Yeah. Leave it to Mike over here. He might not show up all the time, but he's good when he does.
How big was the no walks from Bryce?
Yeah, he's fantastic. He attacked the zone in the right way, and you saw him gain the confidence that, and Peguero, let's not forget Peguero, his first big league save. Is that right? First big league.
Second.
He's on your list already. Before
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I checked the game notes.
I must have slept that one. I don't make it through all the games, so especially to the 9th.
What about the decision with Wilson to face Simeon? Because part of the gambit of the opener, right, is the 3rd time through the top of the order, he doesn't necessarily have to face them. Was that a tough call?
Yeah, Simeon's a good player. He's right on right. I'm okay with it. Hobie did his job. We're not going to ask Hobie to go more than that. He did his job, and I felt like, Bryce was rolling, and I just felt like, you know what, I was considering at that point to keep going. If we would have scored some runs in the 8th, we'd have definitely brought him up for the 9th.
You guys have a starter for tomorrow?
We don't have that right at this point. You'll have to get in your
Thank you.
your bag and look around. What's that, buddy?
Did you get a response for your text message?
What's that?
Need a response to your text message?
No, I talked to him though. We talked to him when he came here. He had to come up for what do you have to come up for, Mike? Check in a physical.
Yeah, trainers.
He had to get a physical. We will.
Text you back. Go back on a route.
Now, we found out that. I had the wrong number.
So the usual from manager Pat Murphy, having some fun with the scribes down there, members of the media, but also touching on a lot of things. Talking about Bryce Wilson, and the job that he did, and again, the fact that he didn't know coming in. Also went on to talk about Joey Ortiz. Didn't know anything about Joey Ortiz, who came over in the Corbin Burns trade. But two guys that you didn't really have plans for them in spring training, but look where they are now and look how they have contributed this year for the cause of the Milwaukee Brewers. And then the tail end of that, talking about Dallas Keuchel, still being coy on who is going to start. And I don't think it's a matter of them being coy and knowing that's going to be Dallas Keuchel. I think they want to see, you heard him talk about the physical. They want to see, make sure everything, all the boxes are checked there, make sure that he's ready to come in. It's a day game, remember, so it's a quicker turnaround. Colin Ray is scheduled, and it would be normal rest for him, so Colin Ray could still get the start. But we will see probably, first thing tomorrow morning that we will see whether or not Keuchel gets the ball or if they stick with Colin Ray. So some decisions to be made, but again, they don't want to just rush into it and say, it's going to be Keuchel, he's going to be here, and then something unforeseen happens and they have to make a last-second switch. They will make that decision sometime tomorrow morning with the 1:10 game tomorrow to close out this series with the Texas Rangers. When we come back on Brewers Extra Innings, in case you missed all the highlights, we're going to recap it for you. Stick around.
Coming up, more Brewers Extra Innings on WTMJ.
You've probably heard about employee stock ownership plans before, but what separates Fifth Third Bank from others when it comes to these plans? A succession plan that benefits business owners and employees. Full and partial sales, second stage transactions, repurchase obligation financing, and seller note refinancing, ESOPs can offer tax advantages, increased liquidity, employee incentives, and overall diversification of net worth to help your company plan for the future. Fifth Third Bank, National Association. Custom solutions built around your goals. Member FDIC.
There's no doubt that a better night's sleep makes for better days, and a good quality mattress helps make it happen. When you buy your new Milwaukee mattress from Ken Michaels Furniture, you are assured of a mattress made individually for you out of the finest natural materials direct from our Milwaukee factory. We make every style, size, and firmness of mattress, and with our factory direct prices, you will save hundreds of dollars. Milwaukee mattresses from Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield, Greenfield, or downtown Milwaukee. Stop in today. Stop into Ken Michaels Furniture for our sale on Braddington Young. Made in the foothills of the Great Smoky Mountains, Braddington Young is an American icon in quality leather upholstery. Whether you are looking for power recliners or stationary seating, Braddington Young's furniture is made with enduring quality, outstanding comfort, and timeless styling. Save up to 40% now on Braddington Young upholstery at Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield and Greenfield. Visit us today.
Pastor Brian Wolfmueller has observed that people who describe themselves as spiritual but not religious are really saying they want a God that doesn't talk. This week on the Lutheran Hour, Pastor Keith Haberstock is eager to start a conversation about the God who has spoken by his Son. Hear Pastor Haberstock's message, An Eager Conversationalist, this week on the Lutheran Hour.
The Lutheran Hour, Sunday mornings at 6:30 on WTMJ.
This is Brewers Extra Innings on WTMJ. Ready for this?
Get up!
This?
Get up!
And this?
Get out of here! Go!
Time for tonight's highlights. Here's Bob Brainerd.
Oh, yeah. We could do like the whole game because it only took 2:15, but we won't do that. We'll just give you some of the highlights. Hobie Milner got the start. He was the starter. He was supposed to go an inning or two. He gave him two. He gave up a run in the first frame, but Milwaukee comes back with some offense in the third. Jackson Churio, the rookie, stepped to the plate.
Churio, line drive right field, away from Garcia, into the corner, it lands for a base hit. Around third, Contreras, he'll score. Garcia did a good job to keep it from getting to the warning track, playing it off the hop. And so it's just an RBI single for Jackson Churio that ties the game at 1.
And the top of the third inning, that's when Bryce Wilson came in to start pitching. So he needed that run, and he needed one more to give him the lead, which is all he would need the rest of the night. In the fifth, it was Mr. Ortiz stepping to the dish.
2-2 pitch, high fly ball, deep left field, racing back is Langford, onto the warning track, at the wall, he leaps and is gone! Joey Ortiz sent him to the All-Star game! His 7th home run of the season, and this rookie puts the Brewers on top 2-1.
So that was the offense through 5 innings. Bryce Wilson continues to keep on keeping on. He was fabulous. We'll get to him in a moment. But in the 7th inning, nursing that 2-1 lead, Milwaukee's offense got a much-needed insurance run. In the 7th, Rhys Hoskins, who went grand salami last night, did this.
2-2 pitch, swing, ground ball up the middle at the shortstop. Seager slides, can't get it, out of his reach and into left center for Hoskins. Scoring from second is Yelich. Rhys has delivered again. The Brewers tack on an insurance run, and they lead it 3-1 in the 7th inning.
And that was huge because Bryce Wilson, as I mentioned, comes on to start the 3rd inning, goes through innings 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Yes, he got the ball in the 8th inning. You heard Pat Murphy earlier. They had a discussion in the dugout about maybe giving him a chance to finish the game in the 9th inning, but they went to Elvis Peguero instead. But Bryce Wilson, 6 innings, 3 hits allowed, 4 strikeouts, no walks. He was spectacular.
Peguero kicks the leg, the 0-2 pitch, a bouncer on. Peguero kicks the leg, the 0-2 pitch, a bouncer on the left side. Ortiz fields it on the forehand, throws to first in time, and the Brewers have secured the series with a 3-1 victory here tonight in Milwaukee.
Yep, that was Elvis entering the building and finishing off, getting the ball in the 9th inning and getting his 2nd career save to close it out for Milwaukee. So Wilson was fantastic. Hobie Milner did his part, and the offense did just enough to secure the 3-1 victory for Milwaukee. When we come back on Brewers Extra Innings, we put this thing to bed. Time to get ready for the finale of this 3-game set with the Texas Rangers tomorrow afternoon.
On deck, more Brewers Extra Innings.
Trust in your family's comfort at home with Cider Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical. They're the oldest family-owned HVAC company in southeast Wisconsin. 4 generations of Ciders, and their highly trained technicians provide a one-stop shop for all home and business comfort needs, including an emergency service line that's always live and a 12-year parts and labor warranty on all Daikin products. Get peace of mind by scheduling maintenance today with Cider Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical. That's SEIDER, cider.com.
So he said to me, "Boy, oh boy, do you got the boulders." And I said, "You betcha." And he said, "Do you mind if I cherry pick?" And I said, "Feel free. They're all beautiful and they're all granite. Sparkling pinks, blues, and grays from 4 to 36 inches. And they're all priced right because we buy direct from the source nationwide to give you the look you want." Erickson's Landscape Supply. High-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection. Well, if you need flagstone for your new natural patio, Erickson's is the place to find it. We have the largest selection and 15 styles to choose from. And for decorative stone, Erickson's is your best choice. Our decorative stone is trucked in from all over the country. We buy straight from the quarry and cut out the middleman to keep your prices nice and low. Erickson's Landscape Supply. High-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection.
With hail and high winds experienced this year in South Milwaukee, Oak Creek, and surrounding areas, Ridgetop Exteriors has been hard at work helping the community get their homes repaired. If you've experienced damage to your home, you need a local and trusted contractor. Ridgetop Exteriors' expert team specializes in navigating the insurance process so your repairs can get done. And they're happy to come out anytime for a free damage inspection. Schedule your free inspection today at ridgetopexteriors.com. Roofing, siding, windows, and doors. ridgetopexteriors.com.
Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Rejuvenex.com.
Life hack number 7. Get an iPhone 12 on Straight Talk.
Life hack.
Here's how it works. You walk into Walmart, go to the electronics section, ask for iPhone 12 with 5G and a dual camera system, and select a new Silver Unlimited plan. They'll smile because it's a good plan. You get real unlimited data all for just $20 a month for the whole first year. Get it at Walmart or StraightTalk.com. Straight Talk. Less dollars, more sense. Taxes and fees apply. Requires activation of iPhone 12 and a new Silver Unlimited plan or higher end auto pay enrollment. $25 a month service credit applied for up to 12 months if eligibility requirements are met. For network management practices, visit StraightTalk.com.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go. Shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
This is Brewers Extra Innings on WTMJ.
Milwaukee a winner over the Texas Rangers tonight at American Family Field. The count was 3-1, the final score. So Milwaukee now, the Brew Crew is 47-33. They are 5.5 games in front of the St. Louis Cardinals, who have won 4 games straight. Milwaukee now has won 3 straight after winning the tail end of that West Coast trip and the first 2 here in this series with Texas. But the Cardinals were rained out tonight in their game against Atlanta, so they're going to play a doubleheader tomorrow afternoon in St. Louis, while the Brewers play that single game at American Family Field tomorrow. 1:10 is the first pitch. Pre-game show is 12:30 right here on 620 WTMJ and along the lines on the Brewers radio network. So Milwaukee, 5.5 game lead on second place St. Louis, who's been playing really good baseball of late. The Cardinals hitting the alarm switch and waking up, and now are 3 games over 500 at 40-37. And in case you were wondering, the Chicago Cubs are 9.5 games behind the Milwaukee Brewers. On the hill tomorrow for the Texas Rangers, it'll be Nate Eovaldi. He will get the ball, and we've talked about it, and you heard Pat Murphy when he was asked about it, who gets the ball tomorrow for the Brewers. Not sure yet. We all know that Dallas Keuchel, you heard Murphy talk about the physical taking place. Dallas Keuchel may be ready to go tomorrow, may be getting the baseball tomorrow, but it also might be Colin Ray, who is scheduled before the Keuchel trade came down with the Seattle Mariners. They acquired him for cash, in case you didn't know. So we'll see if it's Colin Ray. We'll see if it's Dallas Keuchel. We'll see if Pat Murphy decides to cut and paste like he did tonight with Hobie Milner and Bryce Wilson, who was spectacular. Again, the final, Milwaukee wins it over the Texas Rangers 3-1. For Max and Jerry Augustine, I'm Bob Brainerd. Thanks so much for listening to Brewers Extra Innings.
The Brewers Sunday Fun Day Bundle is your new way to brunch this summer. Get tickets, food, beverages, and parking for up to 15 people, starting at $62. Get yours at brewers.com/funday.
Tired of power outages disrupting your life? Make them a thing of the past by getting a Generac home standby generator from Adams Generators. Adams Generators is the largest and #1 rated Generac dealer in Wisconsin. With 24/7 emergency support, our factory-trained technicians are standing by to assist you. Visit adamspower.com/generators to make sure your power always stays on. That's adamspower.com/generators.
With an ever-changing inventory, you never know what great bargains you're going to be able to find at St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores. It makes shopping fun because the best finds are the ones you had no idea you'd even come across. And when they're at thrift store prices, it feels good. And it feels even better to know you're helping us help others. Shop St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, 23rd in Lincoln, and 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
Gorgeous new roofs, showstopper siding, or classic brick and stonework. How about modern windows and regal doors that'll make your chin hit the floor? To a lot of people, having these things can really make them enjoy where they live. It makes them proud. But there's always one thing standing in the way. How do I make that happen? At Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, we have excellent financing options for most people in most situations.